Hey friends, Jared here with another review from Fanboys Forever, and today it is my absolute pleasure to bring you a review for what could be my most anticipated release of the year. That's right, it is the 112 Collective MDX Mezco exclusive Batman Supreme Knight Shadow Edition. This figure was shrouded in mystery for the longest of times, and no one was quite sure what we were going to be getting. And once they unveiled it, not only did it live up to the hype, it definitely surpassed what people were expecting. And you're going to see as we go through that hopefully, I've not cracked it open yet, this lives up to those initial reveals. You can see that we have a silver bat symbol. And on the back, we have the very original teaser image for the product. Now, some of you all may remember that eagle-eyed fans actually spotted this way back when in a Mezco catalog. So it's great to see them finally use that image, even if it's desaturated. It's also worth noting that he came with one of the little Mezco guys. And it looks like I got the gold Gomez that comes with the boombox. All right, usually I don't do the unboxings on camera, but you know what? This is special. This may very well be the final review that we ever do for the Mezco Batman trilogy of figures. It's almost stuck in there because it is the most densely packed that they've ever had one of their figures. MDX boxes always run a little bit smaller, so it is really funny that they crammed it all in there. You do get a basic instruction sheet. It's the same thing that we've seen with the previous release, and of course, hey, don't play with this. Now that we have it out, we can see that we just have a kind of clamshell, just clear, transparent plastic. This thing is dense. There's multiple layers to this, so this is just your top layer right here. And under that top layer, we have some of our accessories along with the accessory bag. Bottom layer, we have our extra wired cape and the big smoke plume that Batman comes with. So exciting stuff. So let's start our review by looking at the figure exactly how he's packaged in the box. And that's going to be important later because there are so many different combinations of looks for this figure. I'm very excited to get into that. So let's go ahead and begin. Wow, this figure cuts an impressive visage just right away. This is incredible looking. I suppose I could talk about it all day, or we could just go ahead and start to have a look here. I'm crazy over what they've done with the color scheme. At first, honestly, I thought we were just going to get a straight up black dye job on the standard costume, and that was going to be fine. I thought, you know, we'd still have the same color of everything else, but everything would just be black, and it would have the standard logo, but it didn't. They did something totally different. With the Shadow Edition here, instead, they have gone for a really bold choice, which is doing the silver belt and silver highlights, and then the rest of the costume is black. Not only that, but they really surprised me because they actually decided to go ahead and do a totally different costume. As a matter of fact, this is the only way to get this particular blend of fabrics and details. Usually in the past, they have just did a black recolor of another version that they had out. But instead, the closest thing I could compare this to is their previous MDX Sovereign Knight figure. And it is very similar without the shininess to the leather parts. So that's probably the thing I would compare it to. But this costume, the tailoring and everything is just totally new. This is completely different. We haven't seen anything like this before. Here is our standard version. And, you know, the similarities are there, but I mean, this is its own thing. And that's what I absolutely love. It's not just a black variant. This is definitely its own thing. And no wonder it was so popular. This was Mezco exclusive. Very unfortunately, it's sold out now. We're going to start with the head here. This is our standard head. Of course, we'll be looking at other head sculpts that he comes with in just a few minutes. In each section, I always like to change up the head sculpt each time so that it kind of keeps things fresh as we go through and the review just doesn't become the same old thing. Here we go. We have one of the bat symbols. Notice how I said one of the bat symbol options on the chest. That's because they're magnetic and it's awesome. Here we have the utility belt. I love all these little panels here. I was a really big fan of what they did with the MDX Sovereign. I always really liked that, and you can see my review. And clearly Mezco liked it too, because it is very similar to that same kind of padding and the same pleating on the breastplate. So I think that it is very similar. It's definitely not the same thing, as evidenced by some pretty big differences, like the way that they handle the transitions up here. These are quite different. There's much more just standard like spandex fabric there. Same for over here. I do kind of worry about these little pieces of pleather right here. I think that if anything gives out, that would be the thing to give out on the figure. But hey, I've had MDX for over a year in Sovereign Knight, and all the pieces that I thought would wear out on it, not a thing has happened to them, so kudos to them. They also addressed my #1 criticism of the MDX Sovereign Knight Onyx edition, and that was these weird marks right here. They almost look like some kind of like animal striping right there beside the codpiece. Here, there's nothing like that. It's clear, and it looks just like I thought it would, 10 times better. This also means your articulation won't be hindered whatsoever. We also have our knee pads. I really like how they have these silver bolts actually painted on. Same thing for the boots. You can see all this wonderful detailing. They have actual silver like vents on the sides. Same for the knee pad right there. And I mean, this is superb. This is, I'd be hard pressed to say this wasn't their very best. Look at this over here on this glove. You even have the hand guard right there. Everything is actually painted and detailed, and I mean, it's just lovely. Same thing for the side of the mask. You might think that this is the exact same head that we got on Supreme Knight. Not quite, mostly because we actually have silver painted on the side there, and the same right there along the jawline. I can't tell you how much I appreciate this because, I mean, you know, it's something we've come to expect from some of these exclusives. Yeah, we'll get the same head sculpt. Cool, got it. But I think Mezco is starting to realize that practically anyone who buys this already owns the other, or at least a lot of the time. I know that's not the case for everybody. So it's great to have some variants. And the same thing for the big panel that they painted on the back. They even went to the trouble of painting some of these back here silver. You can see that all those beautiful patterns just continue. This is probably some of their cleanest stitch work I've ever seen. So like I said, for each section of the review, we have many, many other types of interchangeable accessories. And one of those is this. Not only does Batman have the most wicked expression you can imagine, and I mean that literally, it is a wicked smile, but we also have the long ears, finally, that was in the original promo photos. And I wasn't sure how I felt about it back then, because it does have kind of a more like a triangular shape than the traditional Batman shape. But seeing it in person, I mean, this really, really comes together. Now, it is worth noting that this is on a magnet. So as you switch these things out, it's very, very easy to pull the whole head off. There's the ring for the cape. I'm just going to put it back on. You have to hold the neck. Always make sure that you have that gap right there closed. So I'll lay that head to the side. We'll put our brand new one on. And look at that. That is glorious. So if we're going to change the head out, we might as well change the logo. And here's the one I'm the most excited about. The more traditional, old school looking bat logo. Notice how when I put it on, I'm still able to flex it a little and adjust it. I can't tell you how happy this makes me because, look, people are only human. The factories where they put these things together on, every now and then you could get a slightly crookedly applied bat logo. And it happens. I know that, you know, the ones that I've gotten, I have noticed because of my OCD brain, a little bit of maybe it's not exactly perfectly straight, and it always drove me nuts. Guess what? If that happens here, you can literally just change this thing around all day. You can have it be crooked if you want it to be. Now, it doesn't give you full range because there are 2 magnets in there, so it's always going to guide back to sort of the regular position, or I suppose the default position would be the correct term. But it's definitely a big step up from where they were at previously. So I really like that. I think that it works out very well. And I'll be hard-pressed not to just keep them in this look. So maybe I should have saved it for the end. But I think that's the best look. For this section, we're going to be talking about articulation. Yes, I realize that I already talked about articulation for the standard version. But the truth is that this is a brand new suit. And we know that Mezco's articulation is never really about the body so much as it is what the suit will let the body do. So that is very important for us to talk about. First things first, I am comfortable, and you'll notice I'm going to use the word comfortable a lot during the articulation section, with bringing the arms up about that much. This may be blasphemous, but, you know, anybody remember the George Clooney bat suit? What if it were cool? Like, what if it was a good suit? That's sort of the vibe I'm getting right now. Like, what if, seriously, because it has the longer ears, it's kind of the thicker ears, and kind of the silver and black. What if it was nice? What if it was an awesome suit? You could make it cool, and that's almost like a redemption for that design right here. That's the last I'll mention of that. I'm sorry, forgive me. You can wash your ears out now. Anyway, though, the arms will go up about that much, and I'm only comfortable bringing it up that much because I'm going to show you the actual limits of the figure. I'm not going to do crazy things that you shouldn't do with the figure. I'm going to show you what, a collector, I would hope, would feel comfortable doing. Next, the head, so you can get them to look up about that much, and you can get him to look way down about as far as the neck will allow him to bury his chin. You also get plenty of tilt right there, and that's it for the head. Of course, you can bring it all the way around. Does any action figure reviewer really need to say that anymore? Yes, we know that the head can move 360. Thank you, action figure reviewers. Thank you, YouTube. All right, moving on to the arms. They can go up. You can get it up like way up there, so it's fine. But there's that one little stretch of pleather right there, and it kind of makes me a little wary of going too crazy, bunch up. So maybe if that little piece wasn't there, I would feel a little more free about that. All right, next up, we do have a bicep cut, and you can get it up about that much. Like I said, it's going to be you kind of toying with the fabric and twisting it around to make sure it doesn't get crunched up. Next up, we do have our double jointed elbow, and it's hindered by the gauntlet. I think everybody knows that by now. We talked about that with the last release. Of course, the hands on the wrist pegs definitely have a hinge in there, so that's good. There's not a whole lot of range. Of course, you can move them all the way around. And there is an abdomen crunch, but you can't do a whole big lot with it. He can go that much forward, and he can't really go back any more than the standard. Then, of course, we do have some sort of cut at the waist, but it's not much. You can barely get him to turn. Okay, moving on down. Let's see, and I'm curious because I've actually not tried this yet. Let's see how much having just pure spandex right here without any of those weird stripe details. Let's see how much it helps. Oh, yeah. That's as much as the body can actually go. I mean, this is as good as it gets, people, when it comes to a back kick. You don't have a Batman figure in your collection of Mezco that can do a better kick than this. I mean, look at that. That is past the 90-degree mark. That is Batman kicking someone's teeth into the stratosphere. Also, splits, not a problem because they've removed any pleather there. In the future, with any characters they use their pleather stuff on, I love their pleather stuff. But they should probably keep it out of the wells of the hips down here in the inner thighs. That's going to help so much. You have an upper thigh swivel. Goes all the way around, of course, but I wouldn't do it too much so that you don't break up any of this too badly. You also have a double jointed knee. It works just as great as the first time around. Absolutely love it. We also have a boot swivel. You can only do about that much, but why would you need to do anything else? Batman have a broken leg. He does have a hinge, but the hinge isn't too terrific on the ankle. It's pretty limited because of how ginormous the boots are. So even though there's some ankle rocker movement, you're not going to be able to get the craziest stuff. But if you want Batman in even a stance this wide, he can take it. It's fine. And I think that that's probably about as wide. That belt likes to ride up, by the way, which is always, an issue with a Mezco Batman, I suppose. But I think that's about as wide a stance as I would have Batman stand in anyway. So the ankles pretty much do the job that I need them to do. Still love those giant jack boots. Another section of the review, another head change. So let's go ahead and let's get Batman's head changed out. And this time we're going to be going with the non-diabolical Batman expression. This is just solemn Batman. And of course it is the same as the previous one with the nice long ears. And I'm usually not a long-eared Batman guy. I'm always liking those short, like, detective-y ears. But these, I mean, this head sculpt is making me a true believer. Is that sacrilegious to say in a DC review? A true believer when it comes to long-eared Batman. With this, we'll, of course, switch out. And we'll take the logo off there. I like how that's silver instead of gold, because we're going to be getting the gold for the PX. And it's nice to have something unique. Won't it be weird, though, that the PX one, at least I don't suppose it will. I don't suppose it'll be magnetized. But it'll be strange to not have that feature after we get used to it here. Oh, well, we'll talk about it in the review in hopefully a month or so. And he does come with the original standard logo. There it is. I like this fine. I wish that they had done it in a different finish, perhaps. It almost blends in with the rest of the chest, and I know it's raised and everything, and it looks good, it really does. But yeah, I think that they could have gotten away with maybe adding like a gloss coat to it or something that would have made it stand out, or maybe make it a, I don't know if you could go darker, it's already black, but something, maybe. It's also worth noting that the previous symbol we had on at the beginning of the review was kind of its own thing, and I really love this. It's almost like the sequel to the Sovereign Knight logo. To make things a little more exciting, we'll also be switching out the cape. So I'm going to show you how you do that, in case anybody wants to see a little on-video tutorial. So you just take that ring off. This is one of the only Batman figures, because I think it's because he's solid black, that I think looks equally, almost as good without the cape. I'm still a cape guy, but I mean, that's nice. I mean, that's absolutely killer without that cape. I bought some third-party capes before that I've been really disappointed in, and I have to say, Mezco outshines the third-party competition. So I don't know how Mezco can figure it out, and Hot Toys can't figure it. You have to make sure that not only is the collar around it, but you also have to bare that magnet completely. Don't let any of the fabric from the front of the cape get over the magnet, or nothing's going to lay right. You always want to minimize that gap as much as you can. And with a wired cape, there's always more danger of the gap becoming a problem. Okay. And look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. That was without me doing anything to the cape yet. You know, we can do all sorts of crazy stuff. You can have the ends flare up like this. Looks like he's windswept. Maybe he is standing over the same vent, the same grate that Marilyn Monroe was in that famous scene. The craziness is just practically unlimited. I mean, we can have his arms go up, and it supports it so well. That's my favorite thing to do with this. I mean, look at that. That's serious business right there, people. Absolute serious business. Look at how little you have to do. I'm just doing this in real time. Nothing is being done off camera except the actual attachment itself. I mean, he's ready to go. But it was important to talk about the cape, just to get a little look at the back there. It looks terrific in the back. There's always a few little wrinkles and things, but come on, guys. Batman's working hard on the job. His cape's going to have a few wrinkles in it. Let's be real about a fictional character. Accessories. That's right. This cape is the coolest accessory, but there are some really, really neat ones as well. New section of the review, new look. We're going to go this time with the standard grit teeth head from the original release. So nothing too exciting here except for the new silver paint. Go ahead and get that guy popped on right there. Looks really nice. But I'll tell you what, let's go back to our original Bat logo. I've changed it over to more of the standard original Sovereign Knight logo. Just for comparison's sake, you can see what I mean with that original kind of logo that's sort of similar. This is a little bit smaller and a little more traditional looking. I'll be honest, I wish that that's what standard Sovereign Knight had on his chest. This is a little more slender and a little more of the Bat logo that I like. So now that we have him changed out there, let's look at the accessories. And we're going to start with one of the wilder ones. That is Batman's smoke plume. That's right. Batman disappears. Ninja vanish, people. Absolutely love this thing. But there is something funny I'm going to have to confess. Originally, I couldn't figure out how the figure costed out the way it did, because it was fairly affordable for an MDX because of how much stuff it came with. But I guess I thought this was a fully realized, like, hard plastic 3D piece. This is more of the like packaging plastic. You could easily see how flexible it is. You can hear it. You could easily like tear this thing up. So it's very flexible. You see what I'm saying? It's like packaging plastic, like transparent. It's just been painted and there's nothing on that. And this is a facade of smoke. So it's not going to look great from every angle, but let's be honest, if you're into the action figure photography, like my peers and I are, then you're going to angle it to where it looks correct each time. I can't tell you how much I love this thing. I think that this came with one of the Gomez figures, didn't it? I don't own any Gomez's, so maybe you guys can help me out on that, but I'm pretty sure. I love how it's painted. It's painted very realistically. This was a good, cheap way for them to get a really cool accessory in there. So absolutely love that. We get a whole tray of batarangs, and, you know, we could talk all day about these, but look, you get two styles of batarangs. You get these slender ones up here, which are really cool looking. And you get these kind of Dark Knight Return looking ones. So really nice. I like these. You get every hand imaginable under the sun, but we already talked about all the hands with the previous Batman. I'm not sure if there's any new hands compared to that one. Here is a bundle of the newer style batarangs that are more slender. Really nice, like those. I like how the tips of them are actually painted, so I think that's really cool. Just like the last release, you do get a bundle of these, the Dark Knight Returns style batarangs, but of course these are in a dark gray, not the gold like the previous release. In the previous review, we looked at the Karambat, and this is the foldable blade. I like this. It always seems a little fragile to me, and you know what? I don't think I'm ever going to fold this thing. I was already nervous enough folding the one in the standard release. And we have a batarang that always reminds me of Batman v Superman, because it almost looks like the way that the symbol is with the Superman shield and the Bat logo. Once you see it, you sort of can't unsee it. But the actual overall shape reminds me of Batman 89 and the Batman Returns remote-controlled batarang. And, you know, you real OGs out there, you'll know. Batman also comes with his mysterious equalizer cannon. We just know that it's non-lethal. Of course, Batman isn't looking to blow anybody away or anything on the job. You know, he's got a few of those oaths, those pesky oaths that kind of loosen up in Dark Knight Returns. Of course, this is a brand new color scheme on that. To complement the previous giant batarang, Batman also gets this cool giant new batarang. I really like this. I'll tell you what, I would be hard-pressed to say which one I like better. This definitely has more of the qualities of like a boomerang, something that he would throw to like ricochet off of a villain. Really like this, and I love all those little techie details. It kind of reminds me of something that would have been in the Telltale Batman game, which was a cool game, by the way. Batman also comes with his grapnel launcher. There's two different grapnels. You know, there's one closed, there's one open. You know the drill. Love all the new silvery details with the black. Very cool. For the grapple gun, we also get this tiny grapple that comes with an actual string that's attached to it. This is pretty cool, but I usually just leave this stuff in the box because I'm afraid I'm going to mess it up. To hold all of these accessories, Batman also gets this cool 1/12 bag. I always love these things. Such a simple thing, yet it makes such a big difference for me. It just makes the accessories easy to get to, and it makes me much more likely to fool around with the accessories knowing that I have a place to put them that is kind of official and not just my usual Walmart brand Ziploc bag. Batman also comes with a brand new display stand, and I love that this is reflective of that new Bat logo that he comes with. I never would have imagined they would have actually designed a brand new chest logo for this release, but they did, and I love it. Like I said, wish that Sovereign had this on him. Say we might be seeing a few customs with that, right? We also get a light stand cradle for the base stand. I like these things. They're fine, especially cool where he's got something like this, where you have the wings open. You never know about these cradles. I'm always a little worried that they're going to leave some kind of indentation in the pleather material in the costume. So be aware of that. I wouldn't leave it in there very long. Lastly, we get this cool Bruce Wayne head. Now, this is almost exactly the same as the previous one we got, but I think for me, this one has a little more black or gray in the hair. So maybe this is Batman a little bit before the events of the final figure. Maybe this was his prototype for his final costume. Who knows? And it looks just as good as it did on the original release. I really like the way it looks. Very nice. Technically, you could get sort of a like Secret Agent Bruce Wayne figure going with this thing. All you'd have to do is take off the cape, take off that logo, and remove the belt, and it would pretty much be Bruce Wayne in a like black bodysuit. So yeah, that would actually be pretty neat. It was a tough decision, but I think we're looking at the way that I want to display him right here, with the grinning, kind of sadistic Batman head, with the Bat logo with the circle and the silver in the backing. I just think it just looks so different, and it's definitely something we've not seen before, so I like it to be varied compared to the other releases. All right, friends, time for a few little comparisons here. I'm going to put Ascending Knight here right beside of him, and you can see that they look pretty cool together. Definitely Batman at the beginning of his career versus the end. I like it that we have the long ears here, and so it's kind of a continuum in the looks. Technically, I suppose you could switch out heads, and let's just see how the long ears new head would actually look on the old body. Oh, it's not the worst or anything. Yeah, that's pretty cool looking. Yeah. We also have the Sovereign Knight. Of course, I dyed this one. If you want to know how to get yours to look like this, I have a step-by-step tutorial on the channel, which I'll link below. Hopefully you'll get some enjoyment out of that. Love the way these guys look together. I think they compare very favorably. I do want to go ahead and get his other logo on that almost looks like a sequel to the Sovereign Knight, because I really want to see the comparison that way. Oh yeah, now that actually does seem like a real continuum between the two, particularly when you look at the patterns on the chest. the patterns are actually the same on the abs and the breastplate. It's definitely more of a continuum than I expected there to be between those two. Be careful if your fingernails are even a little long though, because you don't want to knit the suit right there when you grab these. So try not to use the edge of your fingernail too much to get those off. Might be a cool idea if you had another magnet to just take them off that way, but I would be afraid to mess with the polarity too much. All right, going on through time, we have the PX version of Sovereign, and I think these guys look really cool together. Definitely some continuity in the outfit and the way that you actually have the wells in the inner thigh. So there's definitely a lot of continuity between the layouts on the chest and the armor. So I think these guys look really cool together. Next up, we do have the Onyx edition of Sovereign Knight. I absolutely love these guys together because they definitely seem like a set. They definitely seem like they're cut from the same cloth. And I'm glad they're different. I thought this would practically be the same thing, just with this head and body. And here we have the latest release. This is the standard Supreme Knight. Like I talked about earlier, once you get a cape pose that you like, it's hard to let it go. And I've had it in this cape pose for like a month, I guess. So it's really neat to see these guys together. Definitely a lot of continuity here visually. I do think that it's going to be interesting to see if these heads switch out very easily. So, and they shouldn't be any issue. The one thing that, you'll have is the silver parts, I guess. So let's just see if the long ears, how those look. Yeah, I'm surprised with how much I'm really liking this. If we're to go by their original photo that was in that Mezco catalog, I think their intention was indeed to have standard Batman with this head. Maybe they were going to include the short-eared one too, and it didn't cost out or something. But that's actually nice. Let me bring that up a little bit so that we can get a better look at that. Oh man, that's killer. I hope they make this head available another way for the people who missed out on this release, because it would be an absolute shame for you not to be able to incorporate this with your standard Batman figure. Man, that's great. That's giving me some like Alex Ross vibes. You guys getting Alex Ross vibes? I am. That's fantastic. It's interesting because this has the gloss hit that I was wishing that they would do for this one. So it's a shame that his wasn't magnetized as well, because then I could get the look that I wanted to. And I would probably like this even better with that matte finish on it. But you know what? A can of shiny clear coat will do the job. So I'm not sure if I'm willing to do that, but hey, I might. And just for fun, we'll put Harley Quinn in here since she's the most recent villain release. I think they look really nice together. I think the scale is cool. And yeah, I love the color scheme. Here we have good old Jim Gordon emerging from the bat signal over there. I do have Jim wearing his old head with the gray hair, as he should be, as Batman and he have fought crime for decades together. Love the way these two guys look. And here Batman is with some poor goon, aka Rick Flag, as we all use the Rick Flag figure for a goon now. And I absolutely love getting shots like this, especially now that we kind of have the smoke plume in the background. You can get some epic looks with Batman terrorizing these poor villains half to death. Remember, Batman won't kill him, but he will hospitalize them and give them crippling medical debt. You ever just have one of those releases that just speak to you on every level imaginable? That's what the Shadow Edition, the MDX Supreme Knight, is for me. This release just does it, man. I'm telling you, this is the finest Batman release they have ever done. I don't hesitate at all when I say that. This is the complete package. It's literally the complete package. You get a total of five different interchangeable heads for your Batman figure. That's insane. You get 3 chest logos. You get a display stand. You get a flight stand. You get a smoke plume. You get every gadget known to man. You get over 10 different hands to switch out. 2 different capes, and a little baggie to put it all in. And for the price that they asked, this was not a bad deal. It really wasn't. I absolutely hate it if you missed out on this guy. I really do. I hope that you are able to secure one for as near to that $90 original price tag as possible, because he is well worth it. But really, I know that for a lot of you, this review will be you trying to decide if it's time to pony up the big bucks. You know how this goes. This is a story we've seen again and again and again. this thing's value is going to go crazy. We know that Mezco is not a re-release company. They're just not. As much as we wish they were, as much as it would be a friendlier business model for them, it's not going to happen. Instead of living in a fantasy world, go ahead, make some trades, sell another figure you don't want. I'd say you don't even want that Ghostbusters set anymore, do you? That Ash, he wasn't as great as you thought he was he? How about Michael Myers? People be wanting him. It's right around Halloween. Seriously, there's a bunch of different... The Warriors. Get rid of the Warriors, guys. Come on, they're doing 5 points of articulation figures now for those guys. Seriously, sell a couple of things, sell a hot toy, whatever you got to do. This guy right here, this is the figure of the year. I can say that comfortably. There isn't anything coming out that's going to beat this guy out. The finest Batman figure in my entire collection. And boy, oh boy, am I glad to have him. Guys, I hope you found this review enlightening. Hope that you enjoyed it, maybe got a thrill out of it in some way or another. Of course, we would so appreciate it if you could please click that subscribe button. It's free, it only takes a split second, and it helps us immeasurably, especially on our journey of growth that we've had in the past couple of months. We thank our members for enthusiastically responding so much to these videos. It's meant the world to us, and it's spurred us on and encouraged us to do multiple uploads every single week for your enjoyment. And it's something we want to continue to do here at Fanboys Forever. It's only possible if we have your help. These videos don't get made without you, and we thank you so much for being a part of our journey. Guys, as always, be safe out there. God bless you and yours, and remember, I'll see you on Fanboys Forever. Take care.